How's it going, everybody? This is Halsey here. I want to go ahead and continue our reloading series. Again, it's just a basic reloading, how I do it and the process that I use. I'm basically just trying to make a series for people who are just getting into reloading. There's not going to be anything crazy advanced or anything like that, but I'm going to go through the process that I use, and hopefully it helps somebody else out who's just beginning with reloading. Alright, so as you can see here, I'm just going to go through loading 5 rounds. I've got these are range picked up brass, still got the primers. As you can see, they're still pretty dirty. So we're going to go ahead and go into the first step of reloading, which is depriming and resizing your brass, because as you fire, your brass expands inside of the chamber with the gases, so it's not going to be at the correct length anymore. After 1 or 2 firings, it might still be alright, and people just do neck resizing, which is fine if you're more advanced, but for beginners, it's a lot easier to just do a full-length resize for your brass. Alright, so as you can see, we'll go ahead and I'll just show you what size this is sitting at. Alright, so it's at 1.756. Alright, and it should be at about 1.750. So just to show you, let's see what this next one is. 1.761. Alright, so as you can see, there's definitely a difference. And it's going to be all over the place. 1.759. So resizing is definitely one of the biggest things in reloading, and doing it properly. Lee makes it really easy. All the other companies do too, but basically with full-length resizing, it's probably why I say it's the easiest route, is because all you have to do is drop the die into the press, and you're just going to be running the rounds through it, and it's going to size it pretty much correctly, and all you have to do is trim it from there. So it makes it really simple. So to go ahead and continue, just to set up your press, if you're using a Lee press like this one, you're going to go ahead, it's the number 4 shell holder like I showed in the previous video. All it does is just pop in just like that, and then the next step is to take your full-length resizing die, and you're going to go ahead and screw it in from the top like this. You're going to raise your ram, and you're going to screw it in until it makes contact with the ram. Then you're going to lower it and continue screwing it in another 1/4 to 1/3 of a turn. Alright, so just like that, and then make sure that your locking nut is nice and tight so it doesn't move around. Alright, so you have your brass ready to go here. You're going to take whatever case lube that you use, and make sure that you lube the outside of the cases and just a little bit inside of the case. Like I said before, it's a lot easier to use a spray lube than it is to use one that you have to actually apply by hand. It saves time. I'm only doing 5 rounds right now, so it doesn't really matter, but when you're doing a whole tray of rounds, it's probably going to make a bigger difference. Alright, so then you're just going to take your first case, and you're just going to slide it into the press, just like that, and you're going to go ahead and raise it straight up. It's going to pop the primer out, just like that, and it's going to resize the neck of the entire case. Alright, and continue with the rest of the rounds. And then the next part is kind of optional, it's up to you, but you can see in the primer pockets, some of them might be dirtier than others, so you can go ahead and take the primer pocket cleaner that I showed in the other video, and you just go ahead and put it in there, twist it a couple times, and it should clean it out a little bit better. It's up to you, not everybody does this every time. I usually do it every time just because I have nothing better to do anyways. And then if you have military brass, like this is Lake City, if it's only been fired once, you might still have a crimp on the primer pocket, and in that case you're gonna have to take the crimp remover that I showed in another video as well, and you're just gonna insert it and twist it a couple times, and it's gonna clear out that crimp from the primer pocket. Alright, so as you can see, now we have our brass resized and the primer pockets cleaned, and the next step is going to be to trim the cases and then chamfer and deburr them. Alright, so now the next step is going to be to make sure that you have to trim your cases, which is completely up to you, but like I said, the trim length that you're looking for is about 1.750. The max that you're looking for is 1.76. So this is a little bit over, and I'm just going to go ahead and trim all of them anyways, because the good thing about this Lee case trimmer is that it automatically bottoms out at about 1.750. So even if your cases didn't need any trimming, it's just going to spin and it's not going to cut anything. It's not going to take you down farther and farther. So you don't really have to worry about measuring them, but it's always a good practice just to check anyways. Alright, so you can go ahead and take the end that has the drill bit on it, and you can just slide it into your drill. Alright, and then what you're going to do is just take the piece of brass and slide it into the shell holder here, and then you're just going to tighten it. Alright, and then you go ahead and just take the case trimmer and you're just going to insert it into the case, and all you're doing is basically just holding it here and pushing down slightly while it spins the case. Alright, so I'm sure that you could see the part of the case being shaved off. Alright, so as you can see now, you kind of have a rough edge around the lip, and that's fine because that's going to be taken care of when you chamfer and deburr the case. Alright, you can see it again. And just for redundancy, you want to go ahead and check and see what it's trimming at every once in a while also. Alright, so this is trimming at 1.74544, which is fine. The 1.750 is what you're trying to get to. You just don't want to be over 1.760. And it's going to depend on your chamber as well. So I know for myself that I just have to use the lead trimmer, and I haven't had any problems with cycling or anything like that. So you're just going to kind of have to experiment a little, because everybody's chamber is going to be a little bit different depending on what kind of barrel you have and stuff like that. So alright, and we'll check this one. 1.748. Alright, so they're pretty close. I've learned that a couple thousandths, or sorry, hundredths aren't really going to make all that much difference. Alright, so the next thing that you're going to have to do is you're going to chamfer and deburr the cases. It's up to you. You could have just left the case in after you got done trimming it, which is what I usually do, is I trim it and then I chamfer and deburr it and then take it out and put it back in the tray. But I was just trying to make the video as clear as possible. So you're going to go ahead, and the thing about this tool by Lee is you're supposed to do the inside spinning one way and then the outside spinning the other. So you're just going to go ahead and spin it, and it's going to trim it just a little bit on the inside here. I'm trying to get this angle right. Alright, I'll take it out in a second and you'll be able to see it. Alright, and then reverse the rotation and do the outside of the case. Alright, and then what you should have is something that looks pretty close to this. Alright, so you got the inside of the case is a little bit clearer, and the outside is as well. Alright, and those little edges that you see, they're going to be fine, because when you clean your cases, which you're going to do in the next step, it's going to take all that away, so you don't have to worry about that. Alright, and just for comparison, so you can see the difference between the two. Alright, so that's before and after deburring the case and chamfering it. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and continue. And there are better tools out there to do this with, but like I said, I'm trying to do it in a budgeted fashion. So there are better things out there that'll get it done quicker, but this tool costed like $2 or something, as opposed to a whole system that you might be able to get that's gonna cost $100, $200. Alright, so there we go. We have a full-length resized, deprimed, and decrimped, if you had that, and trimmed case. Alright, so now it's ready to go to get cleaned. As far as cleaning, it's up to you. I'm not going to go through it on the video, but basically there's a lot of different techniques out there. You can buy a tumbler, and then you'll have to buy media for the tumbler, which, you know, they range anywhere from, you know, $20 or $30 for really cheap tumblers up to, you know, $150 for like a liquid vibratory tumbler. Again, trying to save as much money as possible in the process. I just take my cases right here and I'll just put them inside of a big bowl, like this bowl here, you know, and just dump them in there and use hot water and some kind of cleaning agent. When you're using a cleaning agent, you want to make sure that it's not going to tear up the brass. So you don't want it to have things like ammonia in it. So just be cognizant of that when you're doing it. But basically, I just take the brass in the bowl with hot water and shake it around with a cleaning agent. And then after that, dry it out, let it sit for a day or two to completely dry out the case, because you want to make sure there's no moisture. And that's really probably the simplest and cheapest way to clean your cases, and they come out really clean and really nice. And then, you know, if there is a little bit of dirt left on it, you just take a towel and wipe it down. It's really simple and really cheap. All right, thanks. All right, so yeah, that's it for our first part to going through the process of how I reload. If you guys have any questions or comments, go ahead and post them, and please subscribe and follow me. Appreciate it. Hallisey out.